Hey, what's up everyone? RC Retro here, and I am already in the process of building my KYOSHO Ultima re-release. I'm doing things a little differently this time around. Rather than doing a time-lapse build, I think I'm just going to be building it bag by bag, and after each bag is completed, after a few parts, I'm just going to stop and kind of go over what happened and my reflections on the build. So what you see here is the gearbox. In this step, you are building the differential, the gearbox, and attaching the protective motor cage right over here, which the original did not have. This was available with the original, but as an aftermarket part. But now KYOSHO is including this. So far, it's gone together pretty smooth. I am a little surprised that the differential is a bevel gear rather than ball diff, but again, I am not too familiar with KYOSHO from back in the past or even from today. The only KYOSHO I had as a kid was a KYOSHO Raider, which came already pre-assembled, and that was the Raider ARR. So, you know, if that's something that they don't do, I'm just a little surprised because they include a slipper clutch with this, which also again did not come with the original, and that is the next step and what I'm moving on to building now. But I know, you know, Tamiya has cars with ball differentials and bevel gears. I know Associated is a ball diff, so I just find that interesting that it's bevel gear that you see right over here as a differential. Alright, either which way, I'm moving on to the next part of the build.
Intoxicating your energy. First time in so long you felt the heat evaporating your bindings. Move like the sunlight, darkness can't hold you here. Bold and bright, push through the atmosphere. This is your dawn, this is your break. Move like the sunlight, darkness can't hold you here. Bold and bright, push through the
So the issue I'm having is that the rear shock tower is screwed into the chassis, and the gearbox is supposed to sit flush, and this little area you see right here, my finger, that's notched out, is supposed to slide right into this piece right here, just like that, except it won't go all the way in. Even when I push it and the holes are not lining up underneath to put this screw in. And I'm supposed to put this long hex screw all the way through, which won't line up either. So my first initial thought was cut away a little bit of this plastic area over here, this nylon plastic area, and then I'm looking at the directions again, and I'm thinking to myself, maybe I should unscrew the shock tower back here and fit it together first and then put it down. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take a step back, unscrew this, and see if this fits together as one, and then put it all in as one piece. So for those of you who are going to buy the Ultima, when it comes time to screw the rear shock tower into the gearbox. Like I said, connect them first before you screw them down onto the chassis. So it's going to go down as one full piece rather than putting them down separate. If you put them down separate, this piece is going to be very hard to fit together. So you want to do it first and then screw it down. Alright, so for issue number 2, right after I was able to fit those two pieces together, the gearbox and the rear shock tower, and get it onto the chassis, feeling all good about myself, I realized I missed this piece right here. And that is to connect the rear arm with this pin that goes through into there. The only problem is, and I hope that's in focus for you, is that I can't put that piece on with the gearbox and the rear shock tower mounted to the chassis. So now I gotta take another step back, take this off, and put this piece on, and then I can put everything back on again. So now, we are now going on to the second time this is coming apart. Alright, so the issue was resolved. Very easy. So this piece right here, they don't actually really show you in the manual, except for a little bit of it sticking out over here, which I didn't even realize. So it's not really their fault as far as the manual. It's not very explicit in the manual, but nonetheless, it's very important. It's where the arms connect with this pin that goes through, and then it also acts as a brace to keep the rear motor guard right here down. So the bottom of this metal piece right here snaps into the bottom of this plastic right here, and then is in place with 2 screws. So, all right, back to the build. So, moral of the story when you're building this, for step B, put everything together first. The gearbox, the rear shock tower, the rear arms, put that all together first, and then the last thing you do is mount it onto the chassis. Don't be like me and make one mistake after another.
I know that I gotta stay away from all your games. Yeah, I know that I found somebody else to love me one day. You'll realize the grass ain't greener on the other side. No, you did me dirty for the last time, so now I gotta say goodbye. So now I gotta say
And that's pretty much it. Bags A, B, and C are done. And so far, I have to say it's a pretty fun build, even though I made a couple bonehead mistakes, and that's on me, but still having a good time. One thing I do really like about this kit is that it's all hex screws, and even in the plastics, as well as the aluminum, it's all countersunk heads. So everything is nice and flush. And again, even the screws that are going through the aluminum into the plastic are also countersunk. So you have no protruding screw heads or even nuts sticking out. You know, I know it doesn't really sound so good right there, but hey, whatever. So there you go.